Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Sorry, I just got distracted then reading the comments before I've even started. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is thank you to Ansata for becoming a member. She's my latest member. Thank you so much. I hope to see you on the members live chat on Tuesday. And just thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, and then I want to say, before I start saying hello to everybody, I want to say a big thank you, as usual. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know what it is, but I do. But no, I'm here. I'm very prepared tonight. And unfortunately, when I'm really prepared, then I feel like I'm missing something, because normally I'm looking to think about what I've got to do, but I am actually very prepared. So, before I say hello to everybody, I just want to say thank you to everybody. So not only members, anyone who likes my videos, anyone who has subscribed to my channel, anyone who has sent me a Ko-fi, a super, PayPal'd me, sent me an email. If you in any way, shape or form have supported my channel, even if it's just by watching, and I know there's a lot of people out there that just like to watch, are a bit nervous about actually participating in the chat, etc. Just like to watch, and then they send me maybe private messages or emails to say, thank you and things. I mean, it's just lovely. I appreciate each and every one of you. Oh, there you go, Shelley. You're a member for 1 month. Oh, sorry, that's just something that's come up. Right, let me go and say, now what I need to do is say hello to everyone, obviously. So let's go. Oh, right, okay. So I don't know if Ansata is here tonight, but she's the new member. Chumba, hello, you're awake. You're awake, Chumba, you're here. Yes, and Chumba reminded us earlier, please hit the likes. The likes are really important. That's free. The free ways you can support my channel are obviously by hitting the like button, by subscribing to my channel, maybe sharing, participating in the chat. That's completely free. And they make a big difference. And the support of my channel, it's important for not only for my channel, if you like, but for me, it's important for me to see that people, because I do get sort of down sometimes, and if I get a few, I don't often get nasty comments, but I do sometimes. And what always keeps me going with the channel is the fact of the people that I know that enjoy it. That really keeps it going. So thank you. Okay, so let's go down. So Desi, hi Desi. Hi Saskia, how are you today? I hope you're okay. Oh, you just woke up. I had a nap earlier. Do you know today? I get up really early in the morning always. So I'd got up, I did quite a lot on the computer today. And then I went back to bed for a nap. And then before I did, even after I got up after the nap, my son still hadn't got up yet. Oh, to be young again. I couldn't do that with my arthritis. So Saskia, good, you woke up at the right time. Hi, Jojo. Hi, David. Go down. Yeah, I didn't actually see that you had mentioned another channel, but I don't mind. I don't mind as long as as long as people understand that I'm not going to comment on it. I don't comment on other channels. Depending on what people say about the other channel, and depending on what I think of the channel, maybe I might leave the comment up or whatever, but I certainly don't want to get involved in comments about other channels. And Chumba, you did it as well yesterday. Dear me. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Rose. Hi, Angela. Just making sure I don't miss anyone, because if I go down too quick, I might miss someone. Yeah, Shelley, it's coming up. You're a member for 1 month, so thank you so much. Hi, Maggie. You made the start of a live for once. And Maggie's a member. Des is a member, of course. Princess is here. She's a member. Thank you so much. I should shout out my members more probably and say, well, I don't know. Sometimes people don't like to have attention put on them. You know, that's what I'm always a bit cautious about. Some people, they like to say hello, but they don't really like to be, you know, have too much attention on them. So, but anyway, tonight I'm going to say hello to the Met. So Pauline's, I think that's too much information, Pauline. But anyway, enjoy your bath. Hi, 411. She's a member. Thank you so much. Oh, you fell asleep. What's going on today? Everyone fell asleep earlier. 411 fell asleep earlier as well. Are you okay now, 411? I know you got a little bit trolled. Are you okay now? Have you got over it? Thing is, what I think with trolls, it's like you do get so many lovely comments from people, and this happened. You know, I should know better really. I mean, for years I've been teaching Spanish. You get exactly the same with that. You get, you know, like 90% of people who really enjoy your classes tell you that, oh, thank you, it's been great. And then you get the odd one who will say, oh, that was a load of rubbish, didn't learn anything. Normally, because they're rubbish at Spanish, they couldn't learn Spanish in a million years. It's normally, you know, I'm not being funny, but it normally is their fault, because I know my method. I've been teaching Spanish for long enough to know that if you can't learn Spanish with my method, you're not going to learn Spanish. And sometimes people understand this. So some people just can't do languages, and they just realise that. You know, it's like I can't do maths. You know, if I went and did a course on maths and I didn't learn, I wouldn't blame it on the teacher, because I know I'm shit at maths. So, you know, you don't blame the teacher. You know, it's like, anyway. So you do get that, but unfortunately, you always remember that you know, you get your 99 really nice comments, you get one horrible comment, and it hurts, you know. I don't know why that is, because, you know, you have to learn to have a tough skin in life in general, not just on YouTube, not just if you're teaching, whatever job you do, you've got to have a tough skin, haven't you? You know, because you're going to get criticism, you're going to get bullies, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. But unfortunately, you do tend to remember the negative comments sometimes, and I've completely forgotten why I started to say, oh, because I was talking about the trolling. So yeah, you can get, you know, 99 lovely comments, you get one horrible comment, and you remember that. But you know, you've just got to get thick skin. Shelley, it was your birthday. Did you have a nice birthday? Oh, well, Shelley's been a member for a month, Princess. So that was what was coming up, that she'd been a member for a month. Hi, Heather. Oh, Shelley, you were ill on your birthday. Oh, no. Oh. Well, we celebrate your birthday today instead. Cheeky Chumba. I love that, 411. An update on Charlene Downs. Right, I don't mean to be rude, but I do get a lot of comments. I do remember the update on Charlene Downs, but I can't remember what channel it was on. Yeah, Rose, what's the point in slandering others? Heather is okay. Hi, Heather. Oh my God, Chumba, are you serious? Have you heard my singing? Have you heard my singing? Oh, Desi, that's nice. You love being a member. Well, I can sing it in Spanish, Chumba. And you know, just because you've put it in initials, I don't get the message any louder. You know, it makes me like when people put initials, it's like they're shouting, isn't it? So I'll tell you what, Shelley, this is especially for you. I am going to sing Happy Birthday. I'm going to sing it in Spanish. Don't blame me. Blame Chumba. Anyone who's watching this, it's all Chumba's fault. So, cumpleaños feliz, cumpleaños feliz. Te deseamos todos cumpleaños feliz. For Shelley. Okay. Okay, you're happy now. Did Rio, I didn't see Rio come in there, but somebody's saying hi, Rio. So I didn't notice you. Ah, there you are. Ignore trolls, they don't deserve the attention. They don't. No. But you know, that's what they're looking for, is attention, isn't it? Anyway. Jackie, did I say hello to you? Oh, Shelley, that's so sweet. So Shelley says, thank you, everyone. The best gift I have gotten is Vicki having this wonderful channel and getting to talk with all these beautiful people. How lovely. Heather, brillianto. Yeah, put an O on the end of everything. That's what people do. Right, okay. I'm going to stop being distracted now because we're here to talk about Rex Heuermann. I hate his name because I can never say it. It's awful. I mean, it's ridiculous, really. Sorry, I'm just... Cheers. Oh, this guy is a piece of work, isn't he? I mean, he really is a piece of work. What we're going to talk about tonight about him, because there's so much to say about the Gilgo Beach murders. You know, we still don't know how many. I mean, he's been charged with 3 murders so far. So we're going to look at those victims. There are probably other victims. I think there's so much more to come out about Rex. There's Shannon Gilbert. Her murder has not been found yet. I'm not going to talk about her tonight because I did a video on her ages ago. But if it wasn't for Shannon Gilbert, this guy may never have been caught, because it was when the police were looking for her that they found the bodies of these girls on Long Island. That's why for many years it was called the Long Island serial killer. Now he's the Gilgo Beach serial killer. He may morph his name as time goes on. There's so much more to come out about this guy. So he's a real piece of work, isn't he? So what we're going to this case is so big and there's so much involved in it. I don't think, you know, I can't put everything in one video, in one live. So what I'm concentrating on tonight is, because I've never really talked anything about him. Hi, Wendy Woohoo. I may have said hello to you, I don't know. I'm going to talk about him because I haven't really talked about him much. I'm going to talk about the 3 victims that he's been charged with so far. I definitely think there will be other victims. And I'm going to talk about his family. Because, as you know, the families of the perpetrator, they are the other victims in these cases. Because, you know, they have to cope with the fact that they've just found out their father, their husband, their brother, their sister, I mean, whoever, is a serial killer. And, you know, then fingers get pointed at them and people start looking at them. Oh, they must have known something. They must have suspected something. So some of the things we're going to look at tonight, we're going to look at the daughter of BTK, that we've looked at before, Kerri Rawson. I mean, she's just doing so well at the moment because she went through 20 years of not wanting to speak to anyone and practically having a nervous breakdown herself and thinking she was going insane. She's now started speaking out about her father, and she's like an advocate for other families who are in the same position. So I think, you know, I've got a lot of respect for her. So we're going to look at some things that she has to say. We're going to look at Rex himself talking on like a job interview type thing that he did. We'll get an idea of what sort of person he is. Okay, but let's start. We're going to start with just looking at some pictures of him. Now, so this is him. This is Rex when he was young. You always think, you know, whenever I see the young pictures, you know, the pictures of murderers, etc., when they're young, you always think, how did it change? You know, looking at that picture, looking at that photo, to be honest, from when he was at high school or whatever, get down, Rose. you would think, yeah, he's smiling, he looks just perfectly normal, doesn't he? So where does it get from that? You know, that's what always sort of fascinates me. Shh, Riley, shush. Hey. Okay, so let's have a look at some other pictures of him. So this is him taking a selfie, obviously, you know, because he was very active on social media. And, you know, I don't know, looks here like he dyes his hair, I don't know. But there he is in the mirror taking a photo for some poor, unfortunate person. Because, you know, I think even though, you know, obviously he ended up with victims that he's actually murdered. I mean, I think there was lots of... What's up with you? There were lots of women that he got involved with. Riley's been, in fact, all the dogs have been really weird all day because it's been really windy today, and they don't like the wind when it's windy. Get down, it's okay, it's okay. They worry, you know, when it's windy. Yeah, I think on the serial killer, on the selfies, he does look like what he is, really, doesn't he? But yeah. Okay, let's have a look at another one. There you go. Now he's all poshed up there in his suit and his tie, nice suit, and you know, I don't know. I suppose that's the smartest he would look. And this is his mugshot. So, you know what I think about eyes? If you look at the eyes, it's always in the eyes, isn't it? You know, the difference. The other thing, I think he does look different on all the different photos. And I think that's quite typical whenever I've seen, you know, different photos of serial killers, like Ted Bundy or any of them. They always look different because they are lots of different people, aren't they? You know, inside. So, yeah, hard eyes. Hard eyes. He won't have been happy that, you know, because this guy, he will have thought he'd got away with it. He's 59 when he was arrested. He hadn't done anything, as far as we know, for quite a while. So he must have thought, really, maybe he'd stop doing it, you know, as he got older. Serial killers don't normally stop, but, you know, sometimes they do. Things happen, or maybe just, you know, got older and the need sort of went off or whatever. But yeah, so it must have been totally surprised him when he was caught, because he would have thought, you know, he wouldn't have been expecting him. He's another one that was caught by DNA. You know, in quite a few of my videos, I've talked about the miracle of DNA. Of course, he was caught by DNA. And the police did a really good investigation in the end. See, that's a whole nother video. The police totally cocked up the investigation in the beginning. There's a high-profile policeman who himself may be implicit, you know, but that's a whole nother video that I'm going to do on another time. What I'm concentrating on today is just basically him, the 3 victims he's been charged for, and his family. Okay, so let's have a look what we got next. Yeah, hard eyes. Okay, so we're coming to his victims: Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, young girls, as you can see, and Amber Costello. Now, the thing is when I say he's 3 these are the 3 that he's been charged for. You know, that doesn't mean to say he hasn't got other victims. It's very likely that he's got quite a lot of other victims. But these are the 3 that he's been charged for: 1st-degree murder and 2nd-degree murder as well. And I think we'll have a little look at them again because they deserve to be looked at again. Don't really want to see him again, but can I? Oh, I don't know if I can. Sorry. So I've prepared this video now. Sorry, I can't go back on it at the moment. Okay, so this is his house in Massapequa. I won't have pronounced that right. I've probably not even spelt it right. I don't know. But this is his home, and it's quite an unassuming home, really. Now, he's lived in this house ever since he was a child. You know, this is his family home. He's never lived anywhere else. So when he got married, when his parents died or whatever, hi, Jeanette. He's lived in the same house all those years. He's never moved. The area looks quite nice, doesn't it? It's quite green and that, but I think the house looks a bit not so nice, let's say. And of course, the police have been at that house. They have taken it apart. Yeah, so this is the overhead shot of all the police in his house, in his garden, etc. Now, I just want to talk about that a little bit before I carry on, because his family, who we're going to look at in a minute, his wife, he has a wife, obviously he has a son and a daughter. His daughter is 26 years old, Victoria Heuermann, which we're going to look at a photo of her in a moment. And she was working at he's an architect, he had his own architectural firm. She was working there. And his son, Christopher Sheridan, 33, who has special needs, who again, we're going to look at a photo in a moment. And his wife, of course, they live in it. This is their family home. And it's been destroyed. It's been torn apart while the police were looking for evidence. Hi, Jean. And their lawyer has described that they are living in a walking horror show. They're living in a walking horror show. I just can't imagine what it's like. There you go. You know, you're just a normal day, knock on the door. Police, they're all in the hazmat suits or whatever. They come in and they just tear your house apart. And amongst the items removed from this house, these are just some of them. There's been more than 200 firearms taken from this house. 200 firearms. I mean, my God, where did he even keep them? You know, where do you even put 200 firearms? A large doll in a glass case. You know, a life-size doll in a glass case apparently has been taken away. A large portrait of a woman with a bruised face has been taken away. A filing cabinet, amongst many other things, but many other things that are Joe hate. Amongst many other sort of normal household items, but items of note that have been taken away are the large doll in a glass case, a life-size doll in a glass case, a large portrait of a woman with a bruised face, a filing cabinet, and many other household items. I know. I think they're definite, yeah. You know, the thing is, if he's lived in that house since he was born, you know, that there's going to be a load of stuff in it, isn't it? You know, it's quite a big house. So there's probably, anyway, so the police have taken it apart. They've taken the house apart. And so now now can you imagine that if it was your house, you know, the police just come into your house, take it to, you know, digging up the garden, God knows what, because they're looking for evidence. It wouldn't be nice, would it, for you, if you're, you know, for the wife, for the two children. I mean, they're adult children, but how awful would that be? I mean, I presume they put them in a hotel or what do they do with the families? Do they move them out to a hotel at the state's expense? I just don't know. Anyway, so apparently the family plan to follow a notice of claim. In other words, they're going to sue the police for leaving their home in a shambles. So I don't blame them if the police do leave it in a shambles, because, you know, they have got that reputation for doing things like that. You know, just going into places and completely wrecking them. And, you know, do they put things back? I don't know. Yeah, Desi, I know what you're saying. You can't understand how his family didn't have a clue he was a monster. Well, we're going to look now. Well, later in this live, we're going to look at Dennis Rader's daughter talking about that. The thing is, the families, there's always aspersions cast on them. But I don't think people realise how some men and women can compartmentalize their life so much. They can be different people, you know, literally can be a family man. You know, Dennis Rader, Bind, Torture, Kill's daughter, he was a good father. You know, they're not, you know, psychopaths. Well, they are psychopaths, but they're not obviously deranged. You know, they have normal lives. They walk amongst us. I don't think people realise that, do they? You know, so I feel sorry for them. Hi, Angela. And the thing is, yeah, I think that's right, Shelley. They see signs, but you look back now. If you look back, so you think about people in your life, family, and you could always find a sign. Don't say, oh, I remember that day when they got really angry, or I remember that day when. Well, we'll see some of the things that Dennis Rader's daughter says later about her dad. I was thinking about saying, oh, you know, things like her dad had his own chair that only he could sit in. Well, you know, I remember that when I was a kid, my mum used to, it was my mum really, my mum would sit in a certain chair, my dad would sit, he liked sitting on the floor for some reason, I have no idea why. But, you know, yeah, I think the guns are a sign. 411, the gun, you know, 200 firearms. But this is America. At the end of the day, in America, lots of people have loads of firearms. It's not the most uncommon thing, is it? You know, so I think, as you say, Heather, I think it is like a split personality. I think these people I don't think we understand. If you can't compartmentalize your life, which most of us can't, we don't really understand how somebody can. Okay, let's carry on. Narcissistic. Yeah. And this is his wife, Asa. So she'll have people descending on her. So this is her son, Christopher, 33. He's got special needs. And the daughter. Oh, sorry, it's whizzing on too quick. Because I actually prepared the video. Now, this is interesting. This is an interview that Rex had. It was something to do with work. He's an architect. And he gave this interview. It's relatively, well, say it's long. It's not that long. I think it's about 10, 15 minutes. And some of it you might find boring when he's talking about architect work, etc. But I think there are some things that are really telling in this interview. But this guy, the guy who's interviewing him, I think is as high as a kite, because if you watch him, he thinks it's the most. I wonder what he thinks now when he looks back over this interview, because he just laughed all the way through it. I think if you were watching this interview and you had to choose who was the serial killer, I would choose him. But anyway, let's have a look at it.
To say, I can't believe, you know, I didn't think about that. Let me dive into it and let me try to maybe make it a business out of it, or was just, you know, you just decided to do it?
Actually, it was Harvey's fault.
Of who?
In 1987, when I came to work in the city, the first architect I worked for was Harvey Rosenberg.
Okay.
Great man. That year, a new law came out. Local law 58 of 87.
Okay.
That's all the handicap access.
Okay.
They said,
JDA.
you're the new guy, you read it. So I read
You
it.
read it?
There was a situation dealing with the city. They said, well, go meet with the city. I did. I was effective at it. He said, go do it again.
Oh, that's funny.
What is wrong with this guy? Why was that so funny? I mean, I don't know. Is it just me?
And that's how the whole thing started.
Okay.
And he did a lot of work with not-for-profit agencies for developmentally disabled. So that's where I started doing a lot of my building code consultant with him, as well as the design and drawings for these facilities. And the one thing I learned very quickly was the building department could not understand them.
Couldn't understand what? Their own codes?
Their own codes, their own laws, because you have
what is he
what
on?
we call a group home for developmentally disabled.
Okay.
It doesn't exactly fit the code book. And the plan examiners who work for the building department didn't fully understand it. So part of my job became educate the city.
So you educate the city about their own code.
Correct.
That has been, our laws.
That's been something we've been doing ever since, and we still do today.
So you started with
So I'll have a pint of whatever he's had, please.
with a firm, and then when you decided to launch your own, you decided let me continue that route of the consulting. Is that correct?
That's basically correct.
Yeah.
But the way it all happened was a recession in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to figure
Hi, Hannah.
out who to work for.
Yeah.
And that's when I met my very, very first paying client, Robert Meyer.
Robert Meyer, okay.
I'm in the Queens building department. It's before lunch. I want to get to lunch. Or back in those days, you had to physically stand in line with your paperwork, because this predated the computer system.
Yes.
And he was dealing with the clerk at the certificate of occupancy counter. Didn't know what he was doing. I'm getting impatient. I go, excuse me, took his paperwork, explained to the clerk what he needed, then explained to him what he needed to do, then move over. Then I took care of what I needed to do. He was standing off on the side.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but every now and again on this video, little things like this come on and then go off again.
What do you think is one of the main reasons people are contacting you? Is that because they were badly advised, or because they don't know all the rules, or they try to rush things? Is that what is basically most of the reason why people are contacting you for?
I would say the biggest reason.
Yeah.
Exactly. What is so funny? They're talking about architecture. They're talking. They're not talking about an interesting subject. The other thing is, look at him. What he's got on. So he's got his vest on under his shirt that he's just taken out of the paper because he's still got the folds going down. So it's obviously a brand new shirt he's just bought for the occasion. And he's one of them. Oh, he's got this bloody vest on underneath. Oh dear me! No wonder he had to pay women for pleasure.
Overwhelmed by the city. They're overwhelmed by the size, complexity of the building department.
Yeah.
And whether it's
little Bart from Princess Tia there,
a restaurant, a place of assembly, a 40,000 square foot retail that we did last year, or somebody's co-op, or it's their mother's co-op and she passed away and there's an old application that's 20 years old that nobody addressed that they have to solve to sell it. People get very overwhelmed, not just by the agency and how to deal with the agency, but the complexity of, we got plumbing work, structural work, construction work. There was mechanical work done. There's a list of requirements, 20 something things long in the computer. What do we do?
Okay.
Oh, this guy's having a great time. It's so funny.
Because you're an architect. Is this part of the business has outgrown your architect business, or it started taking over, or what?
Sometimes it's the majority.
Really? Yeah. That's
Sometimes it's 50-50 with architecture, depending on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
On the architectural side, having all of these capabilities in-house.
Now, I just want to say that this guy, Rex, he's massive. He's really tall. As you can see, he's a big guy. He's got really weird little hands. So, you know what that means.
Gives me an advantage over other people because I have my own staff.
Yeah.
Most architects
string vest.
go to an outside consultant.
Like yours?
No, not like mine, called an expediter.
Ah, okay. Okay, that's what
the expediter, they understand how to file, they understand the administrative procedures. Where I exceed that is I have the license to practice architecture. So when I go to the city,
it's very self-important, isn't he, Joe?
How I feel and what I think they should do. And I do that. An expediter can't do that because
so funny.
The pleasure of the city.
So funny.
Yeah. So
Saskia, he is like Jim out of the royal family.
Important qualities a person in your position dealing with the DOB must have.
Patience.
That's funny. I was hoping.
Patience, the most important quality he has to have. Oh my God.
You would say that.
Yeah. Patience. I don't like to use the word tolerance, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
And it's not just with the city, it's also with the client, because most clients, they don't understand what I have to do, why I have to do it, and what it takes to get done.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with somebody in the city, whether it be a clerk at the counter who has to enter data entry, or if I'm dealing with the borough commissioner of Manhattan.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
And the one thing I learned very quickly was
he finds it hilarious, but it's not a funny subject, is it? It's boring. You know, why does he find it so hilarious?
The building department could not understand them.
Couldn't understand what? Their own codes?
Their own codes, their own laws, because you have what we would call a group home for developmentally disabled.
Okay.
It doesn't exactly fit the code book. And the plan examiners who work for the building department didn't fully understand it. So part of my job became educate the city.
So you educate the city about their own code.
Correct.
Oh, he had to educate the city about their own code.
It's been, our laws.
That's been something we've been doing ever since, and we still do today.
So you started with a firm, and then when you decided to launch your own, then you continue that route of the consulting. Is that correct?
That's basically correct.
Yeah.
But the way it all happened was a recession in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to figure out who to work for.
Yeah.
And that's when I met my very, very first paying client, Robert Meyer.
Robert Meyer, okay.
I'm in the Queens building department. It's before lunch. I want to get to lunch. Or back in those days, you had to physically stand in line with your paperwork, because this predated the computer system.
Yes.
And he was dealing with the clerk at the certificate of occupancy counter. Didn't know what he was doing. I'm getting impatient. I go, excuse me, took his paperwork.
Oh, have I gone back to the beginning? Sorry.
Privacy,
Oi.
safety, protection, and you need to get it.
Look,
Sorry.
people want to know, why do I have a plumbing code from the 1970s?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When I
Oh, yeah. So what he's just said there, somebody who commented earlier said about him being a hoarder. He is. He's just said he's lived in that house all his life. He's got books in that house from when he very first started being an architect, plumbing codes from like 1970s that he's kept. So he's definitely a hoarder.
do work for either attorneys or have to look up something historical,
Yeah.
I need the reference for that point in time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, don't know what this is.
What has this job taught you about yourself?
Now, this is quite interesting.
I think it's taught me more about how to understand people, because dealing with the technical aspects is something a person can learn.
Mm-hmm.
You go to school and do an architectural program. You work for the experience of doing architecture. You get your license to practice.
Yeah.
As your time goes on, you learn about the buildings and about the codes and the different buildings of time frames.
God, do you know what? I wonder why he had to pay women to spend time with him. I just can't understand it, can you? Bloody hell, you'd think they'd be falling over themselves to spend time with him. He's not good looking. He's got no charisma. You know, I mean, no wonder he had to pay women.
With the buildings from the 1880s right now, you know how they react. But it's the people, how they're all so different, and how you deal with the people, I think, is one of the more interesting aspects that have come out of this.
Yes. Okay. All right, my last question.
Thank God.
If you were a tool or an object to help you in your to bring your business to greater heights, what would it be?
That's an interesting question.
I know.
Because
this is interesting because he asked him, what tool would you need to bring your business to greater heights?
For what I do, we have to have so many
Laughing.
tools in the toolbox.
Just one. Or an object. It doesn't have to be a tool. It can be an object.
You know what?
He is a tool. That's the thing. He doesn't need a tool. He is a tool.
One of the things I learned from my father was furniture building.
Okay.
He was an aerospace engineer and built satellites. And
runs in the family, building things.
And built furniture at home. And I still build it in the same exact workshop.
So
I have one tool that's pretty much used in almost every job.
Yeah, if you were a
it's
tool.
a cabinet maker's hammer.
Cabinet maker hammer. Okay.
It is.
Now it's quite sinister actually, because he says if I had to have one tool, it would be a cabinet maker's hammer. Oh God, what a horrible man.
Persuasive enough when I need to persuade something.
Not someone.
Something.
And did you hear that? He said it needs to be persuasive enough when I have to persuade something. And the idiot here who thinks it's all hilarious, and God knows what he thinks of this interview now, says not someone, something, not someone. Oh my God. Ridiculous.
And it always yields excellent results. Yeah. And at the end of the project, whatever piece of furniture or what I'm working on, it always helps it come out beautifully.
Okay, great. So you would be kind of that kind of hammer for your business? That's what you're saying? That doesn't exist, that's what you would be?
Sometimes I have to be the heavy framing hammer.
The heavy framing hammer.
Other times I'm the lightweight hammer just to nudge things along.
Yeah, sometimes I have to be the heavyweight hammer. And sometimes I'm just the lightweight hammer to nudge things along. Wow, what a creepy interview.
I guess it's a hammer. We got it.
Oh,
That's it, folks. That was Rex, owner, founder of RH Consultant. So if you have
now you see how big he is. He's a big guy. You know, it's terrifying, really.
any building regulatory issues, please contact him. He's probably going to solve your issues, okay? Guys, you know the drill. Comment, share, like, subscribe. So sorry.
Subscribe.
But in the meantime, it's
Selfie time.
selfie time.
Selfie time.
You're fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ah! Can you smile?
That is.
I mean, he said to him, "Can you smile?" He said, that is a smile. That's as much as he can do for a smile." Amazing. Sorry, you can hear my dogs running around in the background. Now, what we're going to look at now. So, this is BTK's daughter. You know, we've seen her talk before, Kerri Rawson. She's all over the news at the moment because her father, Dennis Rader, who is BTK, that I've done a video on before. I did him as a serial killer Sunday. I think it was last week or when. Oh no, because there's been some more victims come to light. So I will put the link to that description. Well, let me take these off a minute. Hi Brenda, thank you for buying my book. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, first time on chat, thank you. Listen, they'll all look after you. They'll all chat to you. They'll all show Brenda some love because it's her first time on chat. So yeah, now she's been all over the news because her father, Dennis Rader, who's BTK serial killer, who's in prison, is 77 years old. He has, you know, declared that this guy is like a mini-me. Well, he's hardly a mini-me, is he? Because he's bloody massive. But he's like a mini-me of him. Like he's sort of drawing correlations between him and Rex Heuermann. And she says, oh, you'll see, we're going to watch a couple of interviews with her. I find her fascinating because she's got a unique insight into what it's like to suddenly realise, you know, to suddenly be presented with the fact that your father or your relative is a serial killer. And she says it's because her father is such a narcissist, you know, and since she has suddenly, you know, because for years she didn't want to talk about any of it, and she is now talking about it. And her father he doesn't like it because he likes to be the centre of attention. So he's trying to bring himself back into the forefront of everything. It's very interesting. 411's eating her dinner. That's why she's quiet. Yeah, she's not normally quiet. Anyway, let's hear what Kerri's got to say. I have so much respect for this woman.
Court with privacy, safety, protection, and you need to get it.
Today's arrest of Rex Heuermann and his indictment on 3 first-degree murder charges are really sending shockwaves through the Long Island neighborhood where he lived most of his life. His longtime neighbors and former classmates describe him as a quiet family man, really an average guy who walked to the train every day with a briefcase, basically the last person that you would suspect of killing a number of young women and wrapping them in burlap and then burying them on the beach. I want to bring in Kerri Rawson. She went through this kind of shock and disbelief and horror when she found out her own father, Dennis Rader, who was the notorious BTK serial killer, murdered at least 10 people over the span of 17 years. Kerri is also the author of this book. It's called The Serial Killer's Daughter, My Story of Faith, Love, and Overcoming. Kerri, thanks for being with us. You know, when this was all unfolding, I was thinking of you because no one really understands a situation like this the way you do. Tell us what his family might be thinking right now, what they're doing. Do they have to be interviewed right away? I mean, you went through this same thing.
It is so much to go through this, and I have no idea if his family was given any warning. Mine wasn't. The law enforcement knew the night before they arrested my dad that he was BTK based on my own DNA that they had taken from my college records.
She does look like her dad. She does look like her dad. But, you know, they were so close as well. I have every sympathy for this woman.
And then we were basically notified via, like, knocks on our door. So an FBI...
Only 9 likes. Only 9 likes, but there's 40 of you on here, so that's unusual. Maybe there are more than that.
Agent knocked on my door. This is February 2005. Stepped in my kitchen, literally just dumped it on me that my dad was BTK. And so then you're asking about the process, like Rex's family's going through. We were interviewed right away because law enforcement needed to know if we were involved at any point. Like, so they set us all down, pulled in all of my dad's family into downtown, questioned everybody. They cleared all my family very quickly. We actually only had one interview with law enforcement, and then at that point, they basically took on a role of sort of protecting us and being kind of an in-between point between us and the media.
And I know you follow these other serial killer cases very closely. What did you think when you first heard today that an arrest had been made in the Gilgo Beach murders?
I had slept in, and so I woke up to like insane news blowing up on my phone, and I was floored. I mean, I was happy for everybody that, you know, this has been going on for a very long time, and there are a lot of victims, and I think this is going to develop to even much bigger than we're hearing now. So you're elated that they've got somebody off the streets, and somebody, you know, similar in age of my father that's been a predator for decades, very similar characteristics to my father. So now we've got one more off the streets. So that's amazing. But then my instant thought was, does he have...
I can't turn it up, Maggie. Sorry. That's just the whatever the vol. Oh, hang on. I might be able to. Sorry. Let's try again.
A family, and then when you're hearing that he has a wife and he has kids, you know, it's just instant. Like,
is that better?
Because I know what my family went through, what we still go through, and you think of this family and what they're going through is just utter shock and terror right now. They are completely overwhelmed, and their whole life is upended.
Yeah, and obviously in a situation like this, we all think of the victims and their families, but his family, they're also victims. I mean, almost every time we see something like this, the wife and kids have no idea that anything is going on. These guys are able to have these compartmentalized brains and have like essentially two lives. I mean, what advice would you have for his family? I'm sure they're just in shock right now. I'm not even sure they're probably in a place to even receive advice right now, but what would you say to them?
I would say rely heavily on law enforcement. Unfortunately, you're going to have to advocate for yourselves. I mean, hopefully it's better than it was for my family 18 years ago, but literally we had like 1 weekend of conversations with the FBI, and that was it. Like, so we didn't really know where to get help or how to get help. I mean, I suffered for 2 years with PTSD before I went in and got therapy for trauma. I thought I was going insane. So my biggest recommendation is, like, today, now, ask for help, advocate for yourselves, say, we need victim services. We're a victim family. You need to support us with the media, with the court, with privacy, safety, protection, and you need to get us therapy, like, now. Don't wait.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Kerri, thank you for coming on tonight. I know when these things happen, it obviously re-traumatizes you to a certain extent. So we appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight and share your perspective with us.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Maggie. Hope you heard it okay in the end. I did have it a little bit lower than that. I put it on the maximum in the end, I hope. Hi, Jeanette. Yeah, I feel sorry. Yeah, and she has got a brother. He never speaks. It's funny. People deal with things in different ways, don't they? You know, like she didn't speak for a long time, for a long time, 20 years. She was bringing up her family. You know, she didn't speak about it at all. She was going through counselling. She was, going through all those things. She's only just, I think it was in 2015 or something like that, she started talking about it, and she's written a book and she's turned it into a positive, if you like. And that's what I found with lots of these sort of cases. See, I don't know, remember the Soham murders? And Holly's father, Kevin, he dealt with it by writing a book and speaking to the media, etc. Whereas Jessica's parents, and Holly's mother, they never spoke. Everyone deals with it in different ways. For some people, it helps them to talk about it. And then for other people, they don't, they're private, they're traumatized in a different way. And I'm not saying that Holly's dad Kevin wasn't traumatized, of course he was, but he dealt with it because he's he's like one of those people who's proactive. He had to, that's the only way he could cope, was by being proactive and writing a book and doing, because he felt like, whereas other people, we're all different, aren't we? We've all got our different personalities. That's right, Heather. I remember you saying that you live near Soham. So we've all got our different ways of dealing. We don't know how it would affect us until it actually happened to us. There must be some sort of therapy in talking about it. But also what Kerri's done is she's become an advocate for other families. I think that's important for other families going through a similar. So she's advising them, get your help as soon as possible. See, there are people that can help the victims' families. That's a whole different thing, isn't it? But to helping the perpetrator's family, only someone who's been through it themselves can help them, I think. Anyway, we're going to watch her again on another interview.
Having me, Brian, I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation.
Now, we're going to look at an interview that she did on like a panel with Nancy Grace. I don't know if you know, I really like Nancy Grace. She's an American, she was a prosecutor, and then now she does these crime shows, and I quite like her, but I don't know if you do or not, but I quite enjoy watching her.
Not know their husband and father was allegedly behind these gruesome killings. And welcome back. I'm Nancy Grace. Thank you for being with us. While we know a lot about the suspect, that he was a big city architect who lived in his childhood home in Massapequa Park since childhood, just 6 miles from where 11 women found dead, we know very little about his wife of 25 years, Asa Ellerup, his daughter, and his stepson. So how could they, his wife and his adult daughter, not know their husband and father was allegedly behind these gruesome killings? And when neighbors say they're not surprised, how could the family be surprised? Well, with us right now is Kerri Rawson. Her father, the notorious BTK killer, bind, torture, kill, blamed for 10 murders in Kansas between 1974 and 1991. Now, BTK is a moniker he gave himself in letters to the media and to the police, and of course it stands for bind, torture, kill. Kerri, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Is it difficult, hard, painful for you to talk about your dad, David Shrek?
It's been a lot easier. I've been speaking out in the media for like the last 8 years, so we're talking about almost 20 years now. It's been 18 years since he was arrested, so we were private and quiet and hiding. We weren't hiding, everyone said we were hiding, but we were just trying to build our life back and a new life. And then I just finally had it. I had enough of everything. Like literally, like what happened with Stephen King had based a short story and a movie on my parents called The Good Marriage. And I was going to bed one night, and my husband at the time, he brought it up, and I was like jumped out of bed and was livid, and I have PTSD, so that's what, like, it was finally like I just had enough after 10 years of like not talking at all, and I literally just like erupted in the Wichita Eagle back in Kansas. Like I sent an editorial in, and my dumb self put like my phone number on it, and they called me. And the next morning I was like international news, because I didn't even know like I was news.
The trigger was the Stephen King movie.
It was just like the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
What about that movie?
Well, it's because one, he had basically both my parents, right, and my mom, and so then when it came out, then he got in the media and he's like, look, she's a heroine, like she killed this guy, and I was like, okay, well then that's my bad, but like I shared Stephen King with my dad growing up. We watched the movies, we shared books, like we literally like passed these things back and forth between each other. And if you go look at like my dad's original, like he's notorious for like Nazi records. He literally has in his records like I shared copies of that with her, or I used for the 7, or like I shared Stephen King with her, and he literally jotted that down in his steps.
I'm just trying to take in everything you're saying to me about your dad and try to reconcile that with the fact that I know that your dad is Dennis Rader, bind, torture, kill. Have you ever looked at the crime scene photos? Have you let yourself do that?
Yeah, just recently.
I don't think you should look at them.
Well, there's reasons. There's cold cases being looked at with him. Like, it's a whole nother story. We'll get into sometime. So there's reasons right now. I'm like clearly helping with those active investigations right now.
So how do you get involved in the Gilgo case?
Oh my goodness, Nancy. So what happens is, like, there aren't that many kids that talk, right? And what's more does, I do. There's not that many. It's getting better, and like I'm hoping that because Melissa's talking and I'm talking, like we're trying to normalize things, right? I mean, obviously it's never normal to be a total serial killer, but we're not alone. And basically, people are saying, "Hey, you're the welcome wagon now." Like Rex Heuermann's family are experiencing like the worst days of their life. There's total trauma, upending, like completely imploded. And somebody goes, okay, here comes Rawson on the night of their arrest, and she's the welcome wagon, like to like one of the worst clubs you could ever imagine. And so, literally, people just come to me now because I try to speak, I write, I advocate, I speak up for like crime victims, on both sides, but I'm trying to speak up for the criminal family because we're victims too. And that's my big argument is we're victims too. And
a horrible flashback of all the cases I prosecuted and took to trial. And the guilty verdict would come down, I'd turn around, and I'd see the victim's family.
Right. Hang on, I found the... Sorry, I don't know why that was doing that. Let's try again. No idea why that was so quiet. This should be better.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Grace. Thank you for being with us. While we know a lot about the suspect, that he was a big city architect who lived in his childhood home in Massapequa Park since childhood, just 6 miles from where 11 women found dead, we know very little about his wife of 25 years, Asa Ellerup, his daughter.
How about now?
So how could they, his wife and his adult daughter, not know their husband and father was allegedly behind these gruesome killings? And when neighbors say they're not surprised, how could the family be surprised? Well, with us right now is Kerri Rawson, her father.
Well, I've unplugged the earphones, but if it's still bad, it must just be the recording itself. How is it now? Still the same?
Now, BTK is a...
Hi, Eleanor.
He gave himself in letters to the media and to the police.
Still can't hear it.
Stands for bind, torture, kill. Kerri, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
But this is the original video on the actual... no, I think it must be the video.
It's gotten a lot easier.
Right, I'm going to stop sharing it because I think it must be the video itself because I've unplugged the hit. I had it on, you know, I'd recorded it before, tried that. That was too low. That's the original video actually on the internet. So yeah, so I've no idea. It must be something to do with the recording. But anyway, never mind. I'll put the link to it in the description box. What I wanted to show you in that video was basically, it was more of Kerri talking about, you know, what she thinks the family will be going through and how awful it is. And, you know, it was very interesting because she, why she came out in the end and started speaking was because Stephen King, we all know Stephen King, obviously the author, he had written a story called, I think it was something like The Normal Marriage or something like that, and that he based it on her mother and father. And that's what prompted Kerri to start talking, because she was really angry about it. Not because it mentioned her father, but because it mentioned her mother, and she said, my mother didn't do anything wrong. You know, so that's what prompted her to start talking about it, and to sort of, you know, and she was, and the other reason she was so upset about Stephen King is because when she was a kid, her and her dad had sat and talked about Stephen King novels, you know, talked about them, discussed them, etc. So this really resonated with her, you know, that I mean, could you imagine how freaky that must feel? So you're like, when you're a child, or not a child, but a teenager, and you're reading Stephen King books, you're talking about them with your dad, who you think is like a normal father, and then comes a day when Stephen King is basing a book on your father because he's that sort of weird. You know, I just can't imagine how you get all that together in your head. You know, I think it must be really, really difficult. Anyway, so I'm sorry about that the last video didn't come up. But that's what I wanted to show you in this video tonight. Though we're talking about Rex, but we're talking about him. I wanted to talk about him. I wanted to talk about the impact it's going to have on his family, and watch those other videos that we watched about him. Now, I've got a feeling that this has all gone a bit weird tonight. Oh no, it is mind-blowing, Wendy. It's completely mind-blowing. I will do more videos about Rex. There's so much to say about him, because obviously I'd like to talk more about those 3 girls that he's actually been charged with murdering. And then there's the ones that he may have murdered. There's much more to come. But I think that will come out in the future when we know for sure. Talk about how he was caught. I mean, you know, it was really good police work in the end that caught him. But the other thing I'd like to talk about in another video, so otherwise the video will be too long, is all what was happening with the police chief that was in charge of the case originally. And I don't know if you know, but, you know, he was caught with a lot of incriminating things in his car. The police chief who was dealing with the case years ago, and he's under suspicion for some of the murders. So it's a very complicated story. I agree, David. I think you're born bad. I think, you know, her dad and Rex, they are psychopaths. But I do think they are capable of being, you know, having normal lives. This is the other point that I'm trying to make. You know, they're not psychopaths, killers. They're not like weird people, you know. They're not the person you'd avoid. They're the person that you'd get in the car with. They're the person that you probably have around to dinner, or you'd go to their place for dinner, or you'd go out with them on a date, you know, as a woman. I mean, not that you go out with Rex for a date, but if you know, he's paying escorts. Those girls, they're vulnerable. You know, sex workers are vulnerable. Yes, and Shannon, Now, I did do a video on her a long time ago, not that long ago, but I was in the UK at the time. It wasn't a brilliant video because I didn't have really good internet. Also, YouTube didn't like it and they flagged me up for it. I don't know why, because I never show anything, you know, graphic or whatever, but you know, you can never tell with YouTube. You never know what they're going to flag you up for. But yeah, Shannon Gilbert, I'd like to, her killer has still not been caught because Rex did not, it's not likely that Rex killed Shannon. But if it wasn't for Shannon, he would never have been caught, because those bodies, the Gilgo Four, were found while they were looking for Shannon. And of course, the other sad thing about Shannon is what happened to her mother and her sister, etc. So anyway, good. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. That's the whole point, isn't it? To enjoy it. I've had a laugh today. I mean, it seems funny to say that you've had a laugh when we're watching a video about a serial killer. But do you know what? That guy, I mean, that interview video, I just couldn't believe it when I was watching it. I don't know what I just think with that other guy that was interviewing him, what does he think now when he looks back on it? Yeah. Okay, so I can see I'm reading the chat, and that's when I always know that it's time to go. I don't mean anything bad by that. It's just I'm getting distracted and I'm getting tired. Yeah, so you can never underestimate how much people can compartmentalize their lives, especially psychopaths, narcissists, etc. People do it every day to a lesser degree. Really, you go to work, and when you're at work, you're a different person to what you are at home, aren't you? So that's compartmentalizing your life in a way. But few of us go to the extremes that these people go to. You know, people can have so many secret lives. It's incredible. Look at Philip Schofield. Look at Hugh Edwards. You know, these are people that could compartmentalize a life, be, you know, Mr. Perfect, you know, with the family, going to church, doing this, and in their spare time, they're looking for, you know, soliciting indecent photos of, you know, young men, and they're not even openly gay. But, you know, so I think there's lots of people can do that in small ways. What was it? Somebody said I was reading. So it's you've got your, oh, I've forgotten it now. But anyway, we all compartmentalize our lives to a certain degree, don't we? But psychopaths and narcissists, they do it to a massive degree. But oh, hi Matthew, you were quiet in there. Yeah, I know. There are serious crimes, and we can't lose sight of that. But you know what? I don't have. It's nice to me to make fun of Rex. Oh, and that was, I didn't mention about the Shrek thing, because one witness somewhere along the line described him as Shrek. So yeah, and then one true crime channel that I like to watch, they said that was an insult to Shrek. So I do think it is. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm off now. I'm going to go get something to eat. See my dogs, give them a cuddle. And thank you for watching. There'll be more on Rex Heuermann, or whatever his name is. Why, you know, I know I'll never get his name right, but you know what? I don't care if I get his name right, really, to be honest. But I want to send good thoughts out to all you lovely people. Remember to always live and love very carefully, very wisely. Don't trust an architect. So it seems like architects, I mean, God, that interview, I mean, it was so boring, but that other guy thought it was hilarious. He was definitely on speed or something, I think. Anyway, so I'll see you very soon in the next video, and until then, may your God always go with you. Oh, just to say, I will be releasing this video probably tomorrow. this video again, like tidy it up a bit or whatever, and I've just tried to sort that other video. I don't know why that other interview didn't come out. Anyway, okay. Bye.